Two Middle-Aged Men in Cleveland, episode 119. Ken Dworsnik, Ted Klopp. Ted, it's been a while since I've talked to you.
Yeah, we missed a week.
Have basically come up with that, but we missed a week.
Yeah.
But I didn't really have anybody reach out to me to say, hey, you guys going to have a show this week or not? Usually I do, but that's okay. We know still people, many are listening. Right off the top, 19. This should be an easy one for you today for the Browns and also for the Cleveland Guardians.
Are we allowing Bernie Kosar, or are we?
Oh, that's done. You're done.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't believe you didn't say Miles Austin or Corey Coleman.
Right.
Frisman Jackson, I know, is one of your favorite players. We could have a whole podcast on him.
Yeah, shortest one.
Rashad Perriman. I know you're a huge Rashad Perriman fan.
I have his jersey. And
Reggie Ragland, he's on the team now, and I don't think he's even playing. So I think he's hurt. What about for the Guardians? In all actuality, there's basically been one guy who's wore this jersey for a very long time.
He's a good feller.
He is a good feller. Rapid Rob.
Yeah.
Cavaliers. What do you think? Maybe a couple Cavaliers.
There's been somebody recent that had 19. Am I right?
You are correct.
I don't know who it is though.
Raul Neto. He played last year.
Yeah.
One of the best, a guy who made like a huge shot in a game or a couple games and then basically did nothing else, who probably has the greatest nickname, courtesy of Kenny Rhoda, who was on our podcast early on. Damon Jones.
Oh, yeah. Booby. No.
I'm
thinking of Booby Gibson.
Yeah. Damon Jones, Eamon Owens. No D, no J. One of the greatest nicknames I think I've ever heard.
Yeah.
And then, of course, the Hall of Famer played one season. Lenny Wilkins, 73-74. How about that?
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah. Not a bad coach either.
No, he's pretty good.
Yeah.
He's pretty good.
Wow. Well, the last time we talked, I rattled off some purchases that my son had made at scout camp.
Yeah, that's right.
So I wanted to clarify. So, he came back and we talked about the receipts, and then he had to go back to camp. He came home for a baseball playoff game. So one of those large purchases was actually a good thing. Buddy of his did not have a debit card or whatever and couldn't get a hold of his mom or dad or whoever. So my son bought him the book that he needed for the activity and said the kid had said he'd pay him back or whatever.
Oh, how about that?
Yeah. So, and then there was a T-shirt that he bought from last year that my wife nearly committed harry-carry because of, and he wound up returning that on his own.
Wow.
And he understood, when we talked to him, he kind of understood that he had gone a little overboard, and he probably spent the last 3 days he was there, maybe $10 total. So he seemed to get the hang of it pretty quick.
That's great. Good for him. Hey, being a man for others, though, helping other people out.
Right.
Yeah, that's great stuff. Good work, Mr. Klopp. That's all your work there.
Absolutely.
I know you'll say this on the podcast. No credit to your wife at all. It's all you, right?
Of course it is.
Of course. I love it.
Not two middle-aged men and his wife. It's two middle-aged men.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Did you see this ranking about bad driving?
No, I did not.
Oh yeah. We got to talk about this. Cleveland has terrible drivers. There's a new study out from Consumer Affairs, and they used in their study things like car crashes, pedestrian fatalities, car crash fatalities, and percentage of fatal accidents, speeding, all that kind of stuff. Based on that info, Cleveland has the sixth worst drivers in the country.
Wow.
Sixth worst. We're at a score of 47.3. The average score was 27.2. So we're above average in this particular one.
We are definitely above average.
The top five, St. Louis was fifth, Macon, Georgia, fourth, Albuquerque third, Baton Rouge, Louisiana was second, and topping the list with a score of 86.6,
Oh,
Memphis, Tennessee.
wow.
Yeah.
Well, you've driven around Cleveland. Obviously, you're part of Cleveland Heights. I live in Rocky River, but we both do business and things downtown. I'll throw this to you. Have you seen much more ridiculous and crazy driving, let's say in the last 6 months, that you've seen before, or is it about consistent?
I think it's just consistently bad.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I drove back and we have out and about later on. Went to one of the Guardians games, came back, and we got caught with a little bit of rush hour, which I don't hit very often because I do a lot of stuff at the house, but Awen does. Oh my gosh, Ted, you better step it up, man, or you're going to get plowed over. I mean,
yeah.
Just forget the speed limit. Just keep up with all the other cars and be ready for 15 different people to cut you off and go from here. I mean, if you're not driving defensively, you're going to get in a wreck. It is pretty nuts. 480 is the same way.
Speed limits and traffic lights are what most people think of as suggestions.
Yes.
So
100% correct.
Yeah.
Wow. Let's get it better, Cleveland. Let's do better. We're better than this.
By the way, Macon, Georgia, fourth on the list. That is my all-time favorite baseball team, you know.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, the Macon Whoopie. It's my favorite minor league baseball team.
That's not surprising.
I don't think they're around anymore, but, you know. All right, well, coming up on this week's show, we have a young boy who decides to give a random pep talk. Contractors working outside a middle school apparently can't spell. And how many times can you jump rope in 1 minute? There's a new world record holder for that achievement. His name's not Ted Klopp, nor is it Ken Dworsnik. But we've got that and more still to come.
And now, a woman's perspective.
What's the best way to force a man to do sit-ups? Put the remote control between his toes.
This has been a woman's perspective.
Ken, some good news. A young boy heading down a street decided to stop at a random house with a doorbell camera, and he said this.
You can see me. Get out of here, bub. And you matter, all right? There's always going to be somebody that cares about you. And you're a good person. No matter what people say, you matter. Ignore them. They're losers. The ding-dong ditching you. I'm just trying to say something nice. Like, I don't know what they're doing. They're running away and stuff. I'm just trying to say that you matter, man. Or girl. Whoever you are, you matter to someone. Just keep that in mind. Don't forget that.
How about that?
You matter.
You matter. Southwest News Agency posted that video on YouTube. The boy was not identified, nor was the location. But how about that? Just stop at somebody's door and give a random pep talk.
That's awesome. That is the slogan of Bernie Kosar. You've probably seen him say that on different social media and stuff. It has to do with the University of Miami, but obviously caring for people. Congrats to that young man. That's really, really cool.
Time for another Cleveland history lesson. We're joined by historian John Grabowski, and one of the, I would say, most well-known historical landmarks, at least if you're from Cleveland, I would say, is the Old Stone Church right down there on Public Square. Not one of the biggest, but I don't know of anybody from Cleveland who doesn't know the name, the Old Stone Church. Is that a fair assessment of its significance and people who know about it, John?
Yeah, it is. It's a fair assessment. It is, and it's the oldest structure on Public Square. Okay, and it has a long history, but it's also indicative, really, of the roots of Cleveland, because our Public Square is a town commons that you would find in any New England town, and that's the first thing. 10 plus a little bit acres. And if you look at any town commons in northeastern Ohio, if you go to Talmadge, you're going to find a church on the town commons or the square. And And so our church has survived there. Uh, Interesting story. It starts in 1819 as a Plan of Union Sunday school. And these were Congregationalists and Presbyterians who had sort of had a Plan of Union. And that Sunday school met in the first wooden courthouse, log cabin courthouse on Public Square. And so that gave birth really to the church. And then they really started the Sunday school full time in 1820. And in 1827, they incorporated the first Presbyterian Society, and that's the church. It was wooden at first, and then they built a sandstone church between 1831 and 1833, and that's where the name Old Stone comes from. So that was the first church. But as Cleveland grew, the church itself expanded, and so in 1853, there's a Georgian Revival Church, basically the structure that is almost there now that was created. And that one was completed in 1855 on the same site as the church. So we're looking at the same site right on Ontario, on the square that's going up. 2 years later, this firm called Hurd and Porter built that. 2 years later, it burned.
Oh,
okay. So in 1857, there's a fire, so they rebuild it. The exterior wall survived, the steeple fell down. There's a whole story about that. And then they added a spire in 1868 after the Civil War. It was a place where a lot of things were there. And let me just go to the catch here. There was a second fire in 1884, a severe fire. And one of the most famous architects in Cleveland history, Charles Schweinfurth, designed the rebuilt. He redesigned the rebuilt interior of the church in sort of a Romanesque revival style, and that's what you see today. I mean, there's a spire that's changed as well, but the incredible thing is the stained glass inside there, Tiffany and Lafarge windows, and the Mather and the Stone families were there, and so that church has been an icon on the square. And I think many Clevelanders don't realize that the first immigrants who were Chinese that came to Cleveland settled in the area along Ontario to the north of the square, north of the church. And that church served as a missionary church for them. So there's a connection with our Asian American community with that church. You go on and on and on, and it's still there. And it does a lot of outreach work now for the poor and the humble. It was a church that goes back to the origins of Cleveland. I'm nattering on a little bit too much, but that is absolutely the symbol of Cleveland. Why is the church so dark? Outside. Well, years of pollution, whatever else, you could see that there. But yeah, it is a landmark, and it's just more than the church. It's this, it's the ancillary structure behind, which does a lot of outreach to the community right now.
John, the one thing I found very interesting about the church is that the design of it has really never changed. Obviously, they had to rebuild because of the two fires, but they kind of did a renovation project. If you want to talk about that a little bit, in 1999, I believe, they did some renovation to the church where they brought an architectural firm to work on it. What can you talk to us about that?
They redid the interior, cleaned the interior up, and you need to get to the interior of the church to see the woodwork, the pews, and the stained glass window. I mean, it looks like old stone on the outside, but when you walk into the structure, it'll absolutely blow you away. And I think that's what you're talking about. A lot of the renovation that was done at that time for the church, and that was just after the city's bicentennial that they were working on that as well. So it is an icon.
Oh, there's no doubt about that.
Yeah. It's just and some of the old families will still go there, but it serves a new Cleveland now. And to have been on that same spot really since the 1820s, not the same structure, but the same spot is incredible.
No, there's no doubt. John, It's one of those places when you walk by, you see it, and I've had the opportunity to go into it. It is just, in my opinion, one of the nicest icons that Cleveland has in the area. It really is. I
could tell a little personal story here. I'm a lapsed Roman Catholic. My wife's a Congregationalist. So, it was a Presbyterianist church when the two groups were merged, and so we often talk about that. And one of the things I know is that Cleveland at that time, gambling was not something you wanted to do. Gambling came slowly to Cleveland. I think the fact that there was a casino across the square from the church has probably set the founders spinning in their graves.
I can imagine so.
You
All
okay?
right, John, well, there it is, the old stone church, an icon, I think we could say, for downtown Cleveland. Thanks, John.
You're welcome.
Ted, we're out and about Northeast Ohio. Did not get out of the area like I have previously, but I have a pretty good list here, and I know you have a list, so we'll just get right to it here. Special shout outs to these different local businesses, basically, is what I have listed here. Buckeye Beer Engine, of course, GV Art and Design. They have some of the coolest t-shirts you can get for all the different Cleveland teams and all that. So I actually picked some up the other day there. Red Wine and Brew in Westlake. I did a couple different tastings there. That is a great place to pick up your beverages. A place that you need to go to with your kids, Remix Ice Cream. And it's an ice cream and a cereal bar in Lakewood, Ted. They basically mix different sundaes with different types of cereals. It's really good. I know your kids will love it. Not very expensive either. I went to Market in Rocky River, Avo Modern Mexican on West 25th Street in Cleveland. Was really good. Played some, well, I call it yelling at a ball for 3 hours, but I call it golf as well. At Boulder Creek and Streetsboro. What a beautiful course. And I think only lost 3 balls, so that's not so bad. Costa and Vicks in Parma, Southside Diner in Parma, Rivals in Berea. I went to 2 Guardians games. My record now with the Guardians, I am 10-2.
Ooh.
So I need to go to more games.
Yeah, you do.
As many different people know, they could use all the help they can get. Went to a new place in Cleveland. When I checked it out after one of the Guardians games. It's called 5 Iron Golf. Might be a place you want to take your kids. It's basically a simulator.
Oh.
They have, I don't know, 15 to 20 different simulators where you basically hit off a simulator. They have a bar, you get some food. Very cool. It's on Euclid Avenue, right across the street from Heinen's. And we also went to Heinen's as well and did a beer tasting. So we were quite busy in the Dorsnick household. A lot of it eating and drinking, trying to keep down the weight. And after the list I just read you, there's no way in hell I'm going to keep my weight down. So I throw it to you, sir. You had I think a very active week with your family. What did you guys do?
So a couple of weeks ago, we went to the Akron Rubber Ducks game. I don't know if you've been there, but that's a great environment, enjoyable time, obviously more affordable than a major league game. I really they have a hat that I didn't have a chance to get, but it's literally looks like the rubber duck that you played with when you were a kid in the bathtub.
Oh, that's cool.
On the hat. So if I have a chance to get that particular hat, I will do that. So we enjoyed that. Then we went on a little mini vacation to the northern and I guess maybe central Kentucky area.
Nice.
We went to this thing called the Ark Encounter. It is a full-size replica of Noah's Ark, or what they think was the size of Noah's Ark. And they explain to you how they came up with the size that they produced and whatnot. And it's big, and
I was just going to say, I've always seen articles about it and people have talked about it. Is it pretty cool?
Yeah. I mean, it's obviously it's a religious oriented experience, but it's just interesting from the standpoint of if you believe the story of Noah's Ark, here's what it looked like. It's 550 feet, I think, long.
Wow.
Or something like that. And I mean, they have animal cages inside, and they explain here's how they would have handled this and that and blah 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 blah, and they go through the whole thing. So it's
that's cool.
Yeah, it's really impressive. And there's some other there's a carousel that they have and a 3D experience, and I think they're adding some other things, but it's pretty impressive. The only thing that not a bad thing, but I didn't really understand was um, the parking lot is you have to park and take a bus to the arc in that area. It's like going to Disney World and hopping on the monorail to get to the theme park. And I mean, it's not Disney World, it's not that big. I just wonder what the thought is on having to maintain all these buses and bus people up there as opposed to having the parking lot be right next to the attraction. But
something special happen in between the parking lot and the exhibit, or just
Not
you're
right-
just on a bus?
not as of the moment.
Okay,
it's,
interesting.
Undeveloped land.
Huh.
So I don't know. So we did that. We also went to a thing called the Creation Museum, which was it's owned by the same group that owns the Ark, and just more about the religious viewpoint on creation and things like that. And this was interesting. They put scientific viewpoint on whatever the subject was, and then religious or their religious viewpoint. So you could see both points of view, which I thought was pretty fascinating.
That is cool.
So did that. We also went to a couple caves. We went to the Crystal Cave and the Diamond Cave.
Nice.
And I did 350 steps down and up, and I'm here to tell you about it. So
well done.
I say that's a win.
That is a win.
We went to, those are both beautiful caves, not part of the Mammoth Cave structure, but both really cool, beautiful caves. Really glad we did that. The kids enjoyed it. They were a little reluctant to do the second one, but we got them to do it. And then they were like, "Oh my gosh, I'm so glad I did that. That was
That's
awesome."
cool.
Did a thing called Dinosaur World, which was a display on dinosaurs. And then we went to a Bowling Green Hot Rods game because we were in the area, and because two of my sons, their team name in their baseball league this year was the Hot Rods.
Oh, that's cool.
So
was that what is that, independent baseball?
No, it's minor league. It's high A for the Tampa Bay Rays.
Oh wow, okay.
So
very cool.
And for $16, we were first row next to the dugout behind the on deck circle.
How about that? Isn't that nice?
That was unbelievable.
That's cool.
The guys could hear us talking.
Yep.
There was one guy who I don't know, there was a called strike, and the guy dropped an F-bomb that was not a strike. And then he kind of turned and he said, "I'm sorry, excuse my language." I mean, you could clear as a bell.
That is cool.
The number 13 for the Hot Rods, Willie Vasquez is his name. I turned to my one son and I said, "Hey, he has your number 13. Well, Willie Vasquez heard me say that and came over and gave my son a fist pump through the fence. And then in the next time he was up, my son said, "Hey, can I play you rock, paper, scissors for a ball?" Next time the guy was up, he brought him a ball. Our son went and got a Sharpie, and the guy came out after the game and signed the ball, took some pictures. It was great.
That's first class. That's
Super.
great stuff. That's cool. Good for you.
Awesome time.
That's awesome. That's a heck of an out and about. I'm very impressed. You are certainly getting the outreach of different parts of Ohio and moving into Kentucky. I appreciate that. And I imagine our listeners do as well. And as always, ladies and gentlemen, please support your local businesses as we continue to go out and about.
The most trusted name in journalism, Klopp's Clips.
All right, here we go, Ken. Police in Atlanta are looking for a robbery suspect, or maybe I should say an attempted robbery suspect. Surveillance video shows the guy entering the First Nail Salon.
Everybody get down! Give me all the money! It's got the buckets! Give me all the money!
That's him saying, "Get down and give me all your money." The patrons pretty much ignored the guy. You heard the phone ringing in the background? Well, the owner just went over and answered the phone while the guy was saying that. The guy had his hand in a bag to suggest he had a gun, but eventually he just gave up and left in a silver-colored sedan. No arrests yet.
Well, he tried.
Give me all your money. Oh, you don't want? Oh, okay, never mind then. Former President Donald Trump and other Republican presidential hopefuls were in Iowa over the weekend for the Iowa GOP's Lincoln Dinner. They each took the stage for 10-minute speeches to the same song. The intro song, the walk-up song, was Brooks and Dunn's Only in America. Now, when Donald Trump came out, he came on stage right as a certain lyric in the song blared, and the lyric said, "One could end up going to prison." Now, Trump, as you probably know by now, is facing several federal criminal charges. No comment from the Trump campaign or the Iowa GOP about that particular song selection.
Timing sometimes is just outstanding.
One could end up going to prison. Fist pump, fist pump, fist pump.
Yeah.
A Virginia woman has received more than 100 packages from Amazon that she didn't order. They include about 1,000 headlamps, 800 glue guns, and dozens of binoculars. Cindy Smith has been giving the stuff away. Amazon looked into the situation. They figured out that the seller was located in China and decided to have the packages shipped to a random address in order to remove the unsold merchandise from Amazon fulfillment centers.
Wow.
So they didn't want to pay for the housing of their material in the Amazon warehouse anymore. They decided it was better to just get rid of it.
So just purchase it and give it to random people.
Send it out.
Wow.
Robin Hood.
I'm not sure what I would do with 800 glue guns, but hey, you can have it.
There you go. Now, there's a problem outside Mount View Middle School in Holden, Massachusetts. I don't know if you're aware of this or not, but there's a problem. It's kind of a big one. The street was supposed to be painted with the words "slow school," to get people to slow down. However, the contractor misspelled the word school.
Oh, no.
Yeah, they painted it SHCOOL.
School.
School. The mistake has now been there for about 2 weeks. The contractor hasn't been able to fix it yet due to the weather. So for now, it's still a school.
Cool. Oh my gosh.
I guess if you're going to make that mistake, just make sure, go all the way. Make it in front of the school, all right?
Make it in front of the school and then don't change it right away. Leave
Right.
it. Make sure everybody can see it.
Yes. In sports, we have some scores: 6-3, 7-5, and 9-8.
Ooh.
Yeah, close one. I'm Ted Klopp. That's news to me.
Ted, we have an overachiever, and it could be one of my relatives. A Polish soccer fan now owns a Guinness World Record. Paweł Szczęsny has played the video game Football Manager for 455 days and 15 hours, amounting to 528 years and 137 days of in-game time. My God.
That's
He started the game in January of 2018 and managed his virtual team through 25,084 matches with a 73% win rate.
oh my God.
I might keep that to myself. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah. 453 days.
I mean, I get on my kids sometimes about playing a lot of video games, but this guy's just continually been on. He's never gotten off. So there we go.
I'm with you. I don't know that's, I mean, half a millennium.
Yeah.
In the game time.
Oh God.
That gives new meaning to here's our roster for this year. Well, this guy's dead. Cross him off then.
Oh my God.
Well, not to be outdone, a 16-year-old Chinese boy now owns the Guinness World Record for skipping rope. He skipped 374 times in a minute.
Wow.
That breaks a 10-year-old record held by a Japanese jumper. So I guess Asia is where you go if you're good at jumping rope.
Yes,
The
100%.
The old record was 348 skips in a minute. By the way, I did the math. 374 skips is more than 6 jumps per second.
Wow.
To get 374 in 60 seconds.
That's a lot of movement there. I'm very impressed. That's that one I definitely would tell people about. The guy playing the football manager game. No, Polish power over there. Find something else to do.
One of these people has really good cardio, and we'll let you figure out who that is.
The other guy's got strong thumbs.
Cleveland! This is for you!
Time for more Cleveland sports history. Our sports historian, Dusty Sloan, is with us. We're going to go back to July 29th, 1928. The Indians score 17 runs in the first 2 innings of a game en route to a 24-6 beating of the Yankees. Boy, that sounds nice to say. At Dunn Field. And they also record a record 24 singles in a game. Dusty, 17 runs in the first 2 innings. What can you tell us about this game? Who was pitching? Anybody?
Well, this is always a fun time when we can talk about the Indians beating the Yankees. But yes, the Yankees did not have a whole lot of good pitching going on that day. In fact, they had 2 of their 5 pitchers who didn't even get an out in the game. So the Indians got a complete game from Joe Shout, which makes it awfully easy when you give them 24 runs. You can just kind of thumb it in there, as like we used to say in softball. But yeah, I mean, again, you said 21 singles, 2 doubles, a triple, no homers, and obviously 8 runs in the first, 9 in the second, and for good measure, 6 in the sixth, and got a few field goals and won 24-6.
Dusty, maybe a different question. They said that the game was at Dunn Field. Is there a reason it was at Dunn Field as opposed to Yankee Stadium, or did they try to play games at Dunn Field? I've not heard of Dunn Field before.
Well, the box score says that it was a home game for the Indians at League Park 2. So I don't know what if Dunn Field was an original name for League Park 2. I don't know, but yeah, and it also says the attendance was an even 25,000. My guess is that was an estimate.
They're still doing estimates.
Let's not let the facts stand in the way of a good story, right?
Yeah, and even though we beat them 24-6, some guy named Babe Ruth went 4 for 4 with a double that day.
Who are the pitchers for the game?
Now, the Yankees started some guy named George Pipgrass, who, even with that loss and not getting an out that day, was still 17-6. So we must have caught him on a bad day. And then Wilcie Moore gave up 6 runs in an inning and a third, and then they bring in Miles Thomas, who gives up 4 and didn't get an out, and then this poor guy Hank Johnson comes in and has to wear 8 runs and 10 hits and 4 and a third innings. But then they finally got a guy named Archie Campbell in there to throw the last 2 and a third scoreless, so apparently the Indians ran out of gas there at the end.
Well, they scored them all early, 2 touchdowns and a field goal. They go up 17-0 in the second inning. I guess they took care of it, but it's always good to beat the Yankees, and particularly good when you beat them 24-6. Thanks.
We've had a few games like that against them over the years.
Yeah. Well, we always enjoy those. We need more of those.
Yes, we do.
All right, Dusty. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Cleveland! This is for you!
Oh no, not a dad joke.
Ken, I would never date a tennis player.
Why is that?
Love means nothing to them.
That joke was horrible.
Coming to the end of episode 119 of Two Middle-Aged Men in Cleveland. We had quite a bit done this week's show. We can't spell, but we can play video games, by golly.
Yeah.
And we're going to give pep talks to random people through their doorbells.
Yes, we are. And then do a lot of jumping.
Done a lot of jumping. And we're going to, we also heard about the Old Stone Church. And we heard about the Indians and the Yankees. Can you still say Indians? I guess if it's the old team.
I mean, at that point in time, I guess you could. Yeah.
So
Then it was good out and abouts too. A lot of activity from both of us, which is exciting as school starts here soon. Ted,
and
as you know,
be careful on the roads.
yeah, for sure. Since we're extremely dangerous here in the Cleveland area.
Now you had
Ted,
a rant. You had something.
I have a rant. You know, this seems like almost like a new segment for me every week. This is not get off my lawn guy, but have you noticed? I'm not sure, and I know you at times have to take cars in to get fixed and things like that. Have you had to buy tires recently at all for any of your cars?
Have I had to get new tires?
Yes.
Well, we have a truck here at work that's getting 4 new ones.
Well, the pricing of those compared to October will be up about 20%.
Oh, great.
So part of the reason for that is that there's a shipping backup, which you could expect. Shipping costs have gone up, and there's a backup right now in Taiwan, who's one of the biggest tire manufacturers. An economy tire for a regular car, and I had to buy, I mentioned this before from Conrad's. I shout them out. They did a great job with my
No. You whisper them out.
Conrad's. I had to get a tire. I'll be very upfront. I paid $300 for the tire, which I don't think was awful. Well, that same tire now, I guess, would cost in the range of anywhere from $400 to $500.
My God.
That's what I said. So they're trying to work on this. There was a big story that they've done in all the different news channels and all that. Well, hats off to Goodyear. They had the highest fourth quarter sales they've had in a long time. They were up almost 40% this past quarter. So that's not surprising because of all these different things, but that's my rant right now. Let's figure out what we can do. Many different things are priced very high right now. As we know, we all look at our pocketbooks when we go to the store, when we go out to eat and all that. But my gosh, this tire shortage is going to cause some real huge issues if people have to spend $580 on an economy tire. We need to get that fixed because that's pretty expensive.
Well, I'm sure Joe will take care of it.
Joe.
And if not, then what was the lyric of the song? The one who could end up going to prison, maybe he'll fix it from prison if he's elected. That's what we got. We got a guy who can't make it up the stairs of Air Force One, and another guy who walks out to. One could end up in prison. Those are your choices, folks.
That's what we have.
Yep.
Once again, we stay right in the middle, but boy, is it humorous just to look at either side.
It's shocking.
It is.
The other thing that's kind of surprising is the folks, whatever side they're on, the majority of people are extremely passionate that their guy is the best and has done no wrong, and the other guy is the most incompetent buffoon you've ever seen.
Yes.
Which,
true.
I always figured the truth lies somewhere in the middle, but who knows?
That's exactly right.
Got anything good coming up? You gonna hit a small white ball anytime soon?
No, I got to take a break from that. We got school stuff coming up. My son just started cross country, so we have some team meetings and things like that. My daughter's starting dance. No, I got a wedding to go to for my godchild coming up in Cincinnati next week. Hey, I don't know if you knew this or not. The Browns play Thursday this week.
I figured that out when I was listening to the radio this morning.
It's the Hoff game versus the Jets. Let's everybody gather around and watch a bunch of players that'll probably be cut. I mean, that's what we're going to see.
Watch the guys we know stand on the sideline.
Yeah. So Joe Thomas will get inducted to the Hall of Fame. That's exciting. Other than that, no, just got a lot of work stuff going on and just getting ready for school. How about you? Any out and about stuff or running around?
How about us? Well, we got 2 boys who are interested in travel baseball.
Oh.
So they've tried out for 2 different teams. We'll see what happens. Meanwhile, we've got we've got hockey for all 3.
Yeah.
Football, tackle football for 2 of them.
Man.
One of them is playing soccer, and the kid who's not playing football. And last year he played flag football, and he's still young enough to play flag football. He didn't sign up for flag football, but the coach emailed and said, hey, I don't see him on the list. Does he want to play? And I said, well, he's playing soccer. I don't know if he can. So this guy checked with our athletic director, and yeah, he can do both if he wants to.
Oh my.
So what the heck? Let's play flag football too.
So let me get this. All right, let's write this down here. I need to know this.
Okay. So
right at this point in time, you have what? Let's just pick Fritz. Okay. Fritz is playing. He is hockey.
He is hockey.
He's playing football.
He's playing tackle football.
And then he's going to try to play baseball as well.
Well, yes, but the games aren't until the spring. There are workouts like once a week.
Okay. I thought that was for now because they do have travel baseball in the fall.
I don't know why, but I think just so they can get them into the routine in the off season.
Yeah, correct.
But they the tryouts are now.
Yeah, makes sense. Okay.
So,
understand. Yeah. So football, he's going to do football, and he's got hockey. Okay.
Yeah. I had to prep him for the idea of if you don't make it, don't be too disappointed. You know.
So you have the one son that's playing soccer, flag football, and hockey.
Yes.
Oh man.
Yes, we do.
And then the other son's what? Just playing flag football and
tackle football.
Hockey. Oh, tackle football. Okay.
Gotcha. And so the 2 older ones, so Gus and Fritz are both they've tried out for baseball. They're playing tackle football and they're playing hockey. And Hans, the younger one, playing soccer, probably playing flag football, and playing hockey.
That's got to be. I mean,
I'm exhausted just running it down here.
Yeah, you need Uber. I mean, you really just need Uber to take some of these kids. Forget Klopp Uber, Kuber. You need actual Uber just to pick the kids up. So, wow. What's the calendar look like for you guys? How do you just put this in Outlook with all these practices?
Oh God, yeah. I don't know what people did before there was Outlook. I have no idea.
Yeah, I would have to do the same.
I always say if we get the right kid to the right place at the right time, it's a good day.
Yeah, I understand that.
And if we leave with the same kid we showed up with, that's a bonus.
That is a huge bonus.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because there's been 2 times when we've taken either the wrong kid to the event or gone to the wrong location for. But I think our overall record is pretty good.
Oh my.
Yeah.
Ted, good luck. I wish you the best on this.
I'm gonna need it.
We'll have to find out how this is going with obviously the emergence once again of Klopp Uber. Special thanks to John Grabowski, our historian, our sports historian Dusty Sloan, and of course our listeners. Thank you for being part of this podcast. More fun and exciting stuff. We got a couple of interviews coming up here soon.
We do, yeah.
So that'll be great. But Ted, until then, just remember, we're 2 middle-aged men in Cleveland.
2 Middle-Aged Men in Cleveland is sponsored by Westminster AV, custom audio-visual packages for all occasions.